Let's go. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for joining another Property Thursday. And today's going to be really exciting. We've got loads of people on the couch to speak to you today on the show. And it is a show. We've got Darren, who's going to appear in a minute, who's going to talk to us about mortgages. We've got Jane, of course, and Andy that you met 2 weeks ago from Centric, which is great. And, of course, Pete Wesley. He's always got his finger on his nimbus, and he's going to give us a market update and let us know what's going on. So I'm looking forward to hearing about Guildford, because I was married in Guildford, and I come from very near Guildford, and I know a lot of the guys on this, by the way, know Guildford very well. I know Jamie and Sam and Mark McAllister are all from Guildford, so everybody knows Jeffrey's Passage. So anyway, over to you, Pete. What can you tell us? Where's your Ford Anglia been this week?
Well, I've been to Sidcup, I've been to Greenwich, and I've been up to Colchester. So that's an interesting one. There's some very, very interesting projects coming up, which we're just going through the DD and research, as we always do. Also looking at two other inner town opportunities in London. So we'll tell you all about those later. I'm actually really excited about Guildford. We went up with young Jane and Kaprinka. We had a really good day out there. And I have to say that I think this is as good as we've got, in as much as the property itself. I think the photograph does an injustice to the feel. When you're in the car park and you're looking at it, that looks like quite blocky. When you're there, it doesn't look blocky. And in actual fact, the inside is superb. I think the attention to detail on the finishes of this project are absolutely excellent. So it's a good number. It's good parking, wonderful walk-in ability, as I would call it, into Guildford. And definitely, if you want a pizza, we've been reliably told there are 7 pizza shops within quarter of a mile. I don't know why. Obviously, everyone in Guildford eats pizzas. But, Guildford, for those of you that don't know, is on the edge of the Surrey Hills. The Surrey Hills has got one or two interesting little facts, such as the Hog's Back. The Hog's Back was where the old Formula One world champion Clark died, unfortunately, in a crash. And a lot of people will know it for that, because they reckon he was probably the world's best driver ever. Anyway, coming on to other things that you might not know about Guildford. Capability Brown spent an awful lot of his time there, and he is definitely England's greatest gardener, as was Gertrude Jekyll. You've got RAS Wisley just up the road, which is a wonderful facility if any of you are into wonderful country parks. And you've also got Brooklands, which again you will have heard of. It used to be before it was where the equivalent of the F1 would have been held in its day. But Brooklands Park is a banked track, and it's got Concord up there. It's got some really interesting things to look at. Also, H.G. Wells wrote War of the Worlds in Woking whilst living in Guildford. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley was also written whilst in Guildford. So there's a lot of culture. There's a lot of great musicians that have come from Guildford as well. I know it's all small talk, but come down to some of the main facts. You've got 240 shops in Guildford, 100 pubs and restaurants. You've got the university, which I'm sure Andy will be mentioning, but it's 15,000 students there. 136 graduates from 186 countries have actually gone to that university, and that creates 1.8 billion of turnover in the local economy. So all small stuff, but to me it's quite important. There's a really good feel-good factor within Guildford. It's very similar to Winchester or York. It's not an area where you can overdevelop because of the hills around it, and there's a lot of SSIs, sites of scientific interest, a lot of wonderful protected sites. So this is quite unusual to get some finished stock. So there's no developer risk in this at all. It's clean, it's ready to go. The rental market is extremely strong. And that's something which I'm sure, again, Andy will come into. But if you look at the current market conditions, I just wanted to get this out there for all of you. There was the soothsayers back in October saying, oh, property prices are going to fall 30%. Couldn't be more wrong. And there are real reasons, and I've gone over them each time I've done a webinar. We are massively short of stock in this country. Secondly, we're massively short of let-in stock. And so the fact is that there's more people coming into the country via various different means, including the fact we gave 1.1 million, I don't know if they call them licenses, but we allowed 1.1 million people to come into this country last year. Net migration, 462,000, 106,000 more people born in this country than died. We are supposed to be building 300,000 houses a year. We built 160,000 last year. Probably going to struggle to build another 160,000 this year. So the pent-up demand is massive. Just to give you an idea, the rents have seen average increases between 9.2 and 12.2% in the last 12 months. That's in every locality. Now, Guildford's commutable to London. It's a hop and a skip into London. And a lot of people are making their minds up that with the current working model of potentially going into London 2 days a week and working from home 3 days a week, somewhere like Guildford is pretty flipping good. It means you're living in a leafy area with a great community, a good social life. And so that's why it's a great area to buy. And as I say, Sam Ebbs and Mark McAllister both coming from the wonderful city. Or is it a city or is it a town? I'm not 100% sure.
It's a town.
It's a town, is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, city. I'm going to put a petition together because I think it should be a city, Pete.
Yeah, well, anyway, all I'll say is that they'll tell you it's a wonderful locality and it's what we call defendable. There's not going to be lots of other development. This is your opportunity to buy the property. Over to you, Andy. Now, sorry to hog that, but I just want to.
I think Jane. I think you're next to come on the show. Welcome.
Actually, thanks, Pete, because really you've done my job for me, because my part on this was just want to say welcome to everybody, and as Pete has done a fantastic job in selling the location, I was going to talk through the location. It is an aspirational area to live in. Guildford is one of the Surrey is one of the home counties. So, and as Pete mentioned, it appeals to the city workers because they aren't working 5 days a week in the city anymore. Post-pandemic, the tick boxes are to have affordable living and in a more rural area, and you can't get anywhere better than Surrey with the North Downs. There's a high level of competition in there, and there's a shortage of demand for this type of property. So that's pushing the prices up, which makes the yields fantastic. And as Pete mentioned, the rental market's really strong. It's piqued my interesting fact about the Guildford not being a city, because there is a university, which is one of the top performing universities, and there is a cathedral. So it really should be a city, but it's not, it is a town. Another interesting fact, I don't know if you know this one, Pete, as well, that it is home to the first ever UK castle, dating back to the 11th century. But just back to, there are lots of shops, the location, 32 minutes into London on the train, stunning local parks. And, as I mentioned, it's one of the home counties. So forecasts suggest an average of 13.9% price growth and 17.6% on the rental growth in the Greater London area. So, everything, all the indications there for a great investment. Connectivity, as we've mentioned, it's 32 minutes on the train into London. On the next slide, we've sort of identified all these points. It's 25 minutes to drive into Heathrow, so the connectivity is key, and it's less than a mile to walk from Golden House to any of the local amenities. So the station is 0.8 of a mile. So really, the location is key. And I'm going to let Andy then talk to you in a bit more detail about the actual properties.
Jane, sorry, Andy, to interrupt. Jane, thank you very much. It was nice to hear your voice so clear. we've got Darren on, and he's only on for 20 minutes because it's his birthday today. So sorry, I'm going to break the tradition. Happy birthday, Darren.
Happy birthday, Darren.
Thank you, Chris.
Happy birthday, Darren.
And you'll be delighted to know it's a day after my daughter's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Jamie. So, Darren, market update.
Market's really good, actually, in the UK. There are lots more lenders coming out. Rates seem to be getting a lot better. There seems to be lots more products coming out from these lenders. So it's still difficult, but it's actually getting easier to deal with these lenders because you can actually speak to the lenders now. They're actually putting more people in the field, so you can actually speak to a real person as opposed to waiting on a phone call for an hour to try and get the same sort of answers. So that's making it a lot easier. It's still taking a bit of time to get these things through, but to be fair, this is so much better than it was a year ago, which is music to my ears, because if you can't speak to a lender about a client or a client's unusual way of their income, or they can't produce things like proof of addresses, the lenders now are coming around with solutions, which is brilliant. It's getting back to what it probably was about 2 or 3 years ago. You can't beat
great, Darren. I mean, I always say it every week, but you can't speak to Darren and his team too early. I always say it. So if there's anybody out there who's unsure and wants to talk to somebody about mortgages, then Darren and his team are there. Can I just bring you on to, I know it's your birthday, I know you're going to go and eat some cake, but quickly on interest.
I've already ate cake for breakfast, Chris, which is why I'm so bubbly.
That's like you do every morning, I know that. So what about interest rates? Where are we at the moment? It's a broad sweep, I know. Yeah.
Broad sweep. The rates for the expats haven't really changed too much over the last couple of months, but the rates are, again, stuck depending obviously where the client is, income, rental fig. So the lowest rate you're ever going to get anywhere at the moment is 5.69 for expats, ranging all the way up to a scary 10%. So it depends on. So if you've got a Lebanese client based in Dubai, income from Lebanon, you are going to be talking at high end. But if you've got a UK expat living in the UAE or similar type of low risk sort of countries, then you're going to be getting the 5.69s.
And am I right in saying we're still talking about 65, maybe 70% mortgages?
I would agree. I would agree with that. So yeah, got the lenders. They're either like the Gatehouse now, where they'll lend to anybody sort of with a pulse, if you like. They're now sort of saying, well, we'll lend top end 75%, but then when they come to do the valuation and everything else, and they go, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. So actually then it gets it down to like 65, 70. So if you're marketing it, the cash flows are 65 or 70% maximum, then you're in a safe bet.
I agree. Thank you very much. Right. I'm going to let you get on and celebrate your birthday with your lovely family. And Andy Butts. Thanks, Darren. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, guys.
Have a good one, mate. Brilliant. So yeah, as Pete and Jane did such a great job talking through the location, we'll move on swiftly to Guildford. It's Golden House itself. So it is a conversion. It was previous offices. It's been converted into 54 apartments, predominantly 1 beds, but with 1 2-bed to each floor. We've got you guys the allocation of the entire top floor. So we've got pretty much 10 apartments up there, 9 of which are 1 beds, and there is just 1 2-bed in our allocation at the moment. But we'll talk a bit more about that shortly. Some of the units have full height panoramic windows, floor to ceiling windows. So again, depending on which unit you pick, there are some really, really good layouts and great light coming in, considering it's a conversion. As Pete mentioned as well, he's obviously walked the bricks. The development is finished to a really good high spec. It will be really durable for tenants. It's got Carndean flooring. It's got Bosch appliances, solid worktops. So it will stand the test of time over the next few years with tenants in there. In terms of location, I won't dwell on that much further, but again, everything's walking distance within Guildford, and the connectivity to Central Zone 1 London is exceptional. There are some parking spaces available on an individual purchase allocation. So if your purchaser would wish to take a parking space, the developer is asking for a £10,000 charged for that. There are also electric charging points there as well. And obviously with most of these things now, cycle storage. One of the really nice things about this building, and Pete will back me up on this, is some of the breakout space and the co-working space. For what is relatively a small development and a conversion, there's some really nice residence lounges, relaxation rooms, places where if somebody's working from home, they can go and almost feel like they've gone to the office for the day, so they don't feel like they're cooped up in their apartment. So there's a breakout space on each floor, which will be supplied with Wi-Fi and obviously power and furniture, etc. And as Pete said, the building is complete now. So there's zero risk to your clients in terms of purchasing and their deposits. So it's a straightforward running to exchange and simultaneous completion, really. Just to reiterate the location, this is a really good visual, if you like, of where the development sits. And as you can see down the right hand side there, from leisure, shopping, dining, we've got the Ivy there. You've got plenty of coffee shops, independents, as well as the likes of Starbucks. And I think it was 0.8 of a mile to the station. So really, really well connected location. Just to move on then to the visual of the external, obviously parking is to the front with some communal grounds, central entrance. There is a lift in the building as well, which is important to mention. Some of these conversions do away with the lift. And as you can see there, we've got that top floor, the second floor. In terms of the spec, I think we've talked about it, but really high-end spec. Kitchens have got Bosch appliances, solid worktops, Carndean flooring. So again, stainless steel plug sockets. So you're not going to find better really for the price point. Just a few of the key facts to summarize, I suppose. So like I said, there's 54 apartments in the development. We've got an allocation of the top floor at the moment, which is 10. 9 of those are 1 beds. And we've got just 1 2-bed. Now, if we do sell that, the intention is to go back and ask for further 2 beds. So if you are keen or you have a client keen on a 2-bed, then do let me know and we can get that one wrapped up. And I do believe that's the best one in the building, being the top floor. But once we've reserved that one, we can absolutely go and ask for further allocation. The service charge is pretty cheap here to run. It's £1,000 per unit per year, and it's a 250-year lease. And in terms of the deal structure, well, it's a £2,000 reservation fee and pretty much 10% on exchange, 90% on completion, which you can do as a simultaneous exchange and completion if required. We've put together a really quick, a high-level investment forecast. Jane and I do produce these bespoke. So if anyone's got any clients that want to ask us to produce an investment forecast based on their deposit levels or mortgage levels, etc., they're more than happy to run bespoke versions of these for you. Just let Jane or I know. But that just shows kind of 5, 10, 15-year returns on the right-hand side of anything from 14%.
Thank you, Andy. Pete, you went and walked the bricks. And when you and I had a chat, you said it's got a very, very nice, spacious feel about it. I think you mentioned very high ceilings. Yeah.
The other thing, I think Andy and certainly Jane will back me up on this. Although it's a permitted development rights project, you would never know it's not new build. The fact is, every single item right the way through, they spent a huge amount of time making sure that every single square foot counts, and it's really well thought through. Some great little features in there, and the whole place, including the breakout area that Andy mentioned, it's really quite impressive. You could probably get a family of 10, 12 people in there for a couple of hours and you wouldn't feel cramped at all. It's got little kitchenette-y type things, so you can wash your cups up and what have you in there. It's got breakout tables, it's carpeted, it's excellent. And likewise, the lift, which Andy mentioned, and the central communication, great stairs, really high-end lift as well, been fitted. It's superb. You've got like a concierge type area when you go into the reception. There isn't a concierge there, but it feels that way. So it's got a hell of a lot going for it. And then this is the rear elevation that you can actually see. The front elevation, again, it's got a great feel, and their landscaping, all of that. That's actually happening as we speak, with shrubs right the way through the front, and then it's got a strip of grass right the way through. You could quite easily see, taking your family out there and having a picnic. It's a really great area. I've got to say, I'm really impressed with the developer. I'm really impressed with their attitude and the finish. And so I do think we're lucky to have this, and that's down to Centric. They've managed to negotiate this for us. What I would say, it's not going to hang about. We've got 10 units. Now, I know, you might think that we say that on every occasion. We don't. Certain areas, you sort of think, well, this is, we've got 60 units and it's going to take a year to sell it. That's not the case here. If you want Guildford and you want something that is finished with no developer risk, that you can get an income within a month, this is the place to go for. They're willing people want to move in and pay you their rent money.
Pete, the questions just come in, and please, everybody put questions in. We don't like Q&A at the end. So a question's just come in, and I'm going to add to it, Andy Butts and Jane. I'm going to add to it. Number one, I'm going to ask, where are the tenants going to come from? Industries, local businesses, what do you think is going to happen there? And the questions just come in. How much is the average rental income for a 1 and a 2 bed, please? 2 questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris. So the rental values are, well, they're being drawn up at £1,400 for the 1 beds. There are some comparable properties that are a little higher than that, about 1,500. And the 2 beds, the ERVs are 1,650 on these. Again, there are some comparables in the area for up to 1,800. So I think we're being conservative with those. We're not over-egging them. But yeah, 1 bed's anywhere between 14 and 1,500. The 2 bed, anything from 1,650 to probably 1,750, I would expect. I think, as we've touched on, I think a lot of these tenants would potentially be people employed professionals in the city, but have dual locations. So they'll work from home a couple of days a week, and they'll commute into the city for the other 2 or 3 days. So I think that's a target market, if you'd agree with that, Jane. But I think that's definitely, and given that there's real limited stock out there in Guildford, both new build and on the available market, these will not hang around long on the rental market.
You've also got a massive amount of very large employers around the sort of Woking area. There's a hell of a high tech sector there. And this is it's a 15-minute, 20-minute drive from all of the sort of Frimleys, the Wokings and what have you. So you are going to see people that quite happily have a short journey to get to work. So I think it's a great location, and we will struggle to get more stock in Guildford. That's the truth of it.
And I can see that Darren's still there. Thanks very much, Darren, sticking around. But obviously it's completed. We can go straight away. So I'm just going to implore again and speak to Darren. We'll put you in touch. We've got clients and wealth managers on this call today. So thank you very much. But I think it's going to go well. And there is, where I got married in Guildford, there is actually a blue plaque on the wall there, which I think a lot of tourists like to go and see. Marriage didn't last long, but the plaque is still there. And in actual fact, Pete, the Hog's Back, there's a hotel on top of the Hog's Back. That's where I spent my wedding night. I think there's another blue plaque there as well. So it's full of history. Full of history. Well, obviously I love Guildford. It's where I used to go. I used to go buy my clothes in there, do my Christmas shopping there. And I think Debenhams has now gone, Andy, but that's the sort of vicinity, anybody that knows the area, where Golden House is. Am I right?
It's not far away. It's slightly further away, but not much.
It's near the theatre, though, isn't it? The Yvonne Arnaud.
What I would say as well is it's really great for commuters flying into both Gatwick and Heathrow, both betwixt and between. So you can get to either of those two. I would guesstimate, and I haven't got the time, Jane may have it, 25, 30 minutes. Not going to be a lot more to either of those airports.
25 minutes.
25 minutes to Heathrow.
Yep.
25 minutes to Heathrow, yes.
Yeah, it won't be any more to Gatwick. Gatwick's probably slightly closer, actually. But
I think it's about halfway.
it is.
Yeah, 34 to Gatwick, Pete.
There you go.
The questions just come in. Okay, I'm interested. What do I do next? If you're a client, you've come in anonymously. If you're a client, then get hold of the wealth manager, the person that invited you. You can get in touch with Holborn through our website, or you can locate me. I'm Chris Allen. You've got Pete Wesley, and really, it's all about then what we would do is talk to you individually about the unit your baby suits you best. We would then organise how the 2,000 gets paid. Obviously, Darren will be involved and get the mortgage organised if you want a mortgage, of course. And then the exchange of contracts will happen. At the moment, I'm averaging at about 4 weeks for exchange of contracts, where the solicitors get all the paperwork all agreed. Andy, you happy with that in the UK at the moment? 4 to 6 weeks?
Yeah, anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks with a new build where the lease is ready, you know, the inquiries are all set, the searches are all passed. So with a pre-made contract pack, basically 4 to 6 weeks shouldn't, you know, we shouldn't be looking at much more than that.
And then you're liaising
where the
with Darren.
client's going to come from. Obviously, you've got 15,000 students in the university there, and what we found in Southampton is, in particular, our Chinese students that are coming into Southampton. We've got 46,000 students there. A lot of the more well-to-do Chinese students are actually going for way more expensive properties to rent. So we got 102 apartments in Southampton, and there's a brand new block just been built, and the rents there are from $1,450 for a 1-bed to $1,800 for a 2-bed, and they're all going, but it's nearly all Chinese clients.
Amazing. Well, I think that it's going to go well, and I really like Guildford, as I've mentioned, although the marriage didn't go that well. But thank you, everybody. Now, next week, we're coming live from Buckingham Palace because of the coronation, so please tune in for that. Prince Charles has invited me, so we're going to do a live show from there. Meanwhile, have a look on our website, Holborn Properties Investments.com, and have a look and see other stock we've got. We've got York, we've got Brighton, we've got Manchester. All have been thoroughly DD'd by Caprinca and Pete. They've bought the bricks. We don't do anything unless we've bought the bricks and see exactly what's going in, see where the target market is, make sure it's got a resale value. I think 34 products we've actually got on our website, including, of course, Golden House, which I think is at the top today. So, Darren, thanks for joining us on your birthday, or have you gone? No, he's gone. Pete, as always, thank you, Jane. See you all next week.
Still here.
Thanks, guys.
Still there. Happy birthday, Darren.
Happy birthday.
See you, everybody. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.